let me cover a couple of tweets before we get into some other stuff. So first things first, let me make this a little bit bigger. There we go. Oops. And okay, let me make this a little bit bigger here. So we're gonna cover a couple of FIDE tweets, and then we're gonna go from there. So first things first, when you see Magnus smiling right after a defeat, the difference between over the board and esport chess becomes especially obvious. So what Emil is referring to here, and I might do something on YouTube related to this as well, is that Emil is essentially saying that when Magnus lost his game to Pragnananta, the final game of the meltwater event, that he was smiling, and basically it shows that he really didn't matter that much. It wasn't that serious, and that's that. Now of course this is a horrible take by Emil for a couple of reasons. First of all, as somebody who was a professional chess player, Emil was, he won his fair share of tournaments. He was a very strong chess player when he was playing professionally. He won tournaments, and there definitely were tournaments, I mean, well, I don't actually know this for a fact, but I assume there were tournaments where he had won the event before the final round was played. Now as someone who is actually you know, I'm saying this from his perspective, not mine, as someone who has actually won tournaments before the final round, he should know better than to put out a stupid tweet like this, because frankly, as we know, when a tournament is over, you're playing the final game, it does not matter what the result is, and that's that. So as far as this tweet goes, it's just ridiculous to suggest that there's some difference. Obviously it speaks to the fact that Emil, in his role with FIDE, he has one goal, which is to get sponsors and get money for over the board tournaments. So because of that, he finds another way to take a dig at an online event for absolutely no good reason. Now there's also a reply from Chess24 here, which says, imagine smiling after a defeat when you've already won Rapid and Blitz tournament a couple of games earlier. This is of course I don't need to watch the video, but this is when Magnus lost the final round in Croatia. There was a Grand Chess Tour there. He had won the Rapid and Blitz, I think 2 or 3 rounds before the event was over, and he got crushed. Actually, Ivan Seric, the local player, played a very, very nice final game, won the game. Magnus smiling after the game, and obviously for many reasons, you know, you could tell that it was not a big deal to Magnus. He had already won the event, and that's life, that's how it goes. So for Emil to find another way to put out a stupid tweet like this, it just speaks to why people like him honestly should not you know, be in the upper ranks of FIDE or involved with chess organization, in my opinion, because it shows that his biases, trying to take digs instead of trying to take the positive side of things, is very, very unfortunate, and it's sad to see. It is a little drama. It's not like big drama, but again, if you have people in positions of power within organizations, they should be looking to promote positivity and grow the game, as opposed to saying, well, look, you know, basically what he's saying, and I'll be blunt, is he's saying, look, you know, chess shouldn't be online, it's a joke, it's not serious. Now obviously I'm speaking very bluntly when I say that, but that's what Emil's saying. He's basically saying, like, online chess is a joke, it shouldn't exist, it doesn't matter, it's irrelevant, and this is why it's never going to be taken seriously versus over the board tournaments. That's exactly what he's saying. Exactly what he's saying. He's just not saying it with those words. So I'm just putting his words back. Why does he hate it so much? Because he has one job, which is to try and get money, raise money, and find sponsors for over the board chess. So anything that's good for online chess, in his view, is terrible for him, and it's terrible for FIDE. That's basically the bottom line. Emil is a chess ambassador who actively undermines chess. Yeah. So that's I did want to cover this tweet. Now this is the first tweet specifically. Well, there's a missing element online, but I mean, online chess has so many benefits. Well, I mean, you can say what you want about online chess, over the board chess, whatever, that's fine. I mean, you don't have to love online chess, but if you're in a role with the governing body of chess and you're actively trying to undermine it, that's not good, and he shouldn't have that role, in my opinion. So that's the first tweet that I wanted to cover very specifically. It's unnecessary, for lack of a better way. And if you're in that position, you know, if you want to do some private tweet on some burner account, that's one thing, but to do it on an official account where you're where basically, you know, you are serving as someone who's someone who is in an organization, someone who's in a role trying to like promote chess, it's unnecessary. Why shouldn't one smile over the board in the first place? That's a good one too. That's a good one. What is Emil's burner? Right, exactly. Yeah. That's a great one. So this is the first tweet that I wanted to cover, because obviously, I mean, Magnus won the tournament, he didn't care, it's all good, and that's that. I think he was probably just happy for Pragnananta at the end of the day. So completely unnecessary from Emil. That was the first tweet I want to cover. Now there's one other tweet that I wanted to cover. because again, FIDE with all their stuff going on, they did this tweet, and it was actually quite, in general, the tweet was fine. It was about a bunch of pictures that were taken, that they were promoting, that were taken by Leonard Oots from the Netherlands. So this was the second tweet that I wanted to cover. Now Leonard had taken some pictures. They posted pictures, and then there was a great quote here from this fourth picture, which is, you can see this camera here. Now this is a picture of James Canty on the phone. This is when Canty was covering the World Rapid and Blitz, played in Warsaw, Poland. This was on our stream, obviously, and International Chess Federation made this great tweet, which I have to respond to, just to sort of set some of the records straight. So they say iPhones are forbidden in the tournament hall, but this iPhone got an exception. At GM Canty commentates from his home on GMHikaru's game against Grischuk at the World Rapid Championship in Warsaw, using the phone's camera via Zoom as a practical streaming device. Now I know whose streaming device this was. In the room there, you know, and this was allowed, obviously, but the reason that I bring up this tweet was because FIDE says iPhones are forbidden in the tournament hall, but this iPhone got an exception. Now FIDE is all about trying to promote not promote, but they're putting out a certain perception. They're trying to say that basically things are a certain way. Well, I will tell you guys the reality is during that World Rapid and Blitz in Poland, if you were not a player, there were probably more than 30 people who were guests who had who had cell phones in the playing area. Every single guest had a cell phone there. This was not just arbiters, these were guests of the tournament, etc. So when FIDE tried to say they were forbidden and all this stuff, and put out this perception that somehow it was like super tight, and you know, there are these very, very harsh rules, that was not the reality during the event. And for FIDE to try and say this and pretend that that's what it was, and it's like, you know, this didn't happen, or you know, it's not normal, it's just absurd. So this was the other tweet I wanted to cover as well. Top player privilege, right? Yeah. Why are they tweeting this now as in old news? Well, it's just a picture. It was a collection of pictures. Basically, it was a collection of pictures taken by Leonard. Actually, it was very nice. I mean, these pictures were great. There's a picture of Ivan Sokolov with Noterbeck after he wins against Gukesh. There's another picture here. Actually, maybe this wasn't Leonard Oots specifically, but it was a collage. Actually, it was. Yeah, today's post features Leonard Oots' favorite shot. So it was a collage of pictures by Leonard Oots. So it's actually very nice. But then I saw this tweet here, and again, like when I saw them say like they're forbidden, it reminded me specifically because at the candidates tournament, there was you know, there was one person at technical meeting who kept saying perception, you know, it's the perception matters, what the public thinks matters, nonstop. Literally said it like 10 times during the players meeting and the candidates. So anytime I see something which FIDE puts out where they try to pretend things are a certain way versus what the reality was, that always pops back into my head about like pointing out what the realities truly are. So this was the second bit that I wanted to cover. Now this isn't a huge deal, but it's just like it's unnecessary to try and pretend, because you know the reason they put this is probably they're like they expect some troll on Twitter to be like, but wait a second, why are their phones in the playing hall? It's illegal in the players regulations, etc, etc, etc. So yeah, it was I saw this, and perception is reality. Vince McMahon, yes, of course, Vince McMahon, he would know, right? He would know. But anyway, this was the second bit that I wanted to cover in terms of FIDE related stuff. This one's, I mean, is not anywhere near as bad, but it's still what it is. The other one is really just uncalled for. So on that note, I'm gonna put the music back on.